The movie opens with a voiceover as the screen stays completely black. The narrator explains why soldiers spend countless hours memorizing every part of the M16 rifle and training non-stop. He questions why they have to fight and why they have to risk their lives. As the narration continues, the scene explodes into chaos, with gunfire echoing from every direction. A sergeant yells at a young soldier, trying to teach him an important lesson. Just as the soldier says he understands, a rocket suddenly slams into him. The blast tears off his leg, and despite everyone's efforts, he dies after losing too much blood. The story shifts to Afghanistan, where around 68,000 soldiers are stationed. A group of troops arrives at the military base and receives a warm welcome. Major Mullins talks with Chris Merrimet, asking about his wife and their unborn child. Chris says his wife is already 8 months pregnant. The Major points out that Chris will probably miss the birth because of the deployment. Their conversation then turns to Chris possibly becoming a squad leader. Although the Major congratulates him, Chris insists that Corporal Kettner is more qualified, even though they hold the same rank. The following day, Chris's squad starts wondering who their new squad leader will be. They joke about whether the new leader will be strict or someone who loves giving orders. When Chris reveals that he's the one taking the position, everyone is relieved because they know he's someone they respect rather than someone who will boss them around. Before they head out, the Major introduces a new member of the team, an Afghan soldier named Private Faisal. Kettner immediately feels uneasy about trusting him. He quietly asks Chris if he's really comfortable giving Faisal a weapon. Chris jokingly asks Faisal if he's secretly a terrorist planning to kill them all. Faisal calmly replies that he has no intention of hurting anyone on the team, putting an end to the awkward conversation. As the convoy leaves the base, the soldiers enjoy the ride by joking around, telling stories, and talking about random topics. Their mood changes when they reach a narrow road between two mountains and spot a suspicious object wrapped in plastic. Chris immediately reports it and orders everyone to stay put while they wait for the Explosive Ordnance Disposal (EOD) team. Under the scorching Afghan sun, they spend more than 2 hours waiting. Sweat pours down their faces as boredom slowly sets in. One of the newer soldiers grows impatient and steps out of the truck, saying he'll inspect the suspicious object himself. Chris quickly tells Kettner to stop him. While Kettner keeps an eye on Faisal, another unexpected problem appears. A local man leading a camel walks toward them while talking on his cell phone. Thinking the phone could be used to trigger a bomb, Kettner points his rifle at the man and orders him to drop it. Faisal tells everyone to stay calm, explaining that the man is just passing through. Faisal then walks over to inspect the suspicious object and discovers it's only a broken radio. Still curious, he keeps digging and uncovers 2 hidden explosives buried underneath. Chris immediately orders him not to touch anything, but Faisal reaches for the wires anyway. Curious, Chris rushes over, pulls Faisal back, and angrily scolds him for taking such a reckless risk. He reminds Faisal that one wrong move could have killed him and everyone nearby. Faisal quietly admits he understands, and the convoy continues its mission. The team eventually enters the dangerous Red Route, an area known to be controlled by Taliban fighters. While they're talking and joking inside the vehicles, they suddenly come across a man wearing a military uniform who signals them to stop. Chris gets out to find out what's going on and confirms the man's identity. The soldier introduces himself as Fox from a Navy SEAL team. He explains that their vehicle was destroyed, their communications are down, and only 3 members of his team are still with him, while 2 others are. Fox thanks Chris for saving their lives. The convoy continues through the valley, but the calm doesn't last long. Without warning, Taliban fighters launch a deadly ambush from the mountains above. Gunfire and RPGs rain down from every direction. In the middle of the chaos, Soto freezes in panic and can't even respond to Chris's orders. Moments before another rocket hits their vehicle, everyone jumps out and takes cover. The enemy has the high ground, putting the squad at a major disadvantage. As the firefight intensifies, Lee notices several Taliban fighters moving toward Soto's position. Without hesitation, he rushes over to protect him. Lee is shot in the process, but even while badly wounded, he refuses to stop fighting until Soto is safe. Cooper is also hit during the battle, leaving 2 of the squad's best soldiers seriously injured. Despite their losses, the surviving team manages to break through the ambush and continues the mission on foot. After night falls, the exhausted squad stops to rest. Fox asks Private Faisal to keep an eye on the young woman while the rest of the team sets up a defensive perimeter. Speaking in their native language, Faisal tells the woman that he recognizes her. He assures her that he won't hand her over to the Taliban and encourages her to tell the Americans who she is since they're risking their lives to protect her. Meanwhile, Kettner admits to Danny that he still doesn't trust Faisal. Danny disagrees, pointing out that Faisal fought beside them and never hesitated during the battle. When the conversation turns to the young woman, Danny seems confused about her identity. Kettner shrugs it off, joking that she's exactly his type. Back at the base, the major and the captain discuss the squad's dangerous situation. Intelligence reports warn that if they aren't rescued soon, they'll likely be ambushed again. Unfortunately, air support isn't an option because a massive sandstorm is moving in, creating near-zero visibility. With helicopters unable to fly, the major orders the captain to do whatever he can to help the stranded team. The next morning, the squad resumes its march. Before long, gunfire erupts around them, forcing everyone to dive into the fields for cover. As they discuss their next move, Fox suggests that he and Chris sneak closer to the enemy while the rest of the squad stays behind to provide support. The plan is risky, but it's their best chance to eliminate the snipers. Chris quietly circles behind the enemy's position and catches one of the Taliban fighters by surprise. Chris and the sniper engage in a brutal hand-to-hand fight. The Taliban fighter nearly overpowers him, but Chris grabs a nearby rock and repeatedly strikes his opponent until he finally stops moving. Together, Chris and Fox eliminate the sniper team and safely return to the squad. As they travel farther, Fox warns everyone to stay alert. He explains that whenever they see fields of opium poppies, Taliban fighters are usually nearby. Only a few minutes later, a vehicle suddenly appears, confirming his fears. Another fierce gunfight breaks out, with bullets flying from every direction. During the battle, Fox is hit twice and collapses to his knees. Although the squad manages to defeat the attackers, Fox is left critically wounded. Knowing he doesn't have much time, Fox tells Chris that their top priority must be getting the young woman, Anush, safely to the city. Kettner questions the decision, reminding Chris that protecting her was never part of their mission. Chris looks at him and calmly replies that it is now. The squad agrees and continues forward with Anush under their protection. As they approach the city, Chris orders everyone to stay sharp. The team carefully clears every building, checking each door and window for possible threats. Danny notices someone secretly recording them. Moments later, several armed men step out of a nearby building. Chris asks Faisal to translate and convince them to lower their weapons. After a tense exchange, the men agree and invite the squad inside. Even while talking with them, Chris repeatedly reminds his team to stay alert and report any suspicious activity outside. Kettner quietly tells Chris that he doesn't like how silent everything has become. Chris replies with a familiar warning, "It's the calm before the storm." Seconds later, Taliban fighters surround the area, and the squad immediately prepares to defend Anush. A massive firefight erupts as both sides trade heavy gunfire. Just when it seems the Marines are gaining the upper hand, another enemy truck arrives and fires an RPG into the building. The explosion sets the house on fire, knocking nearly everyone to the ground. Barely able to stand, the squad watches helplessly as the Taliban capture Anush, leaving them unable to stop it. The squad watches helplessly as the Taliban drive away with Anush. Even though everyone is exhausted and injured, Chris refuses to give up. He tells the team to get back on their feet because the mission isn't over yet. He promises they'll rescue her at first light. Faisal believes he knows where the Taliban are taking Anush, so the squad follows his lead. They quietly make their way to the enemy compound, where Taliban fighters have gathered for prayer. Inside, Anush is tied up and being held captive. Chris orders everyone to stay low and avoid using their weapons unless there's no other choice. The team carefully sneaks through the compound, searching for Anush without alerting the guards. Anush cries out for help, allowing Chris to pinpoint her location. Chris, Danny, and the rest of the team rush toward her. During their escape, Kettner and Faisal become trapped behind enemy fire and realize they can't make it through. They tell Chris to keep going while they hold the Taliban back. Chris, Danny, and Anush barely manage to escape the compound. After fighting through wave after wave of enemy gunfire, they finally steal a vehicle and speed away to safety. Back at the compound, Kettner is shot during the final stand. Standing shoulder to shoulder, they fight until the very end, fully aware that they may not survive. The movie ends as the surviving soldiers finally return to their base. Chris reflects on the questions he asked at the beginning of the film: why soldiers train so hard, why they fight, and why they're willing to die. He realizes the answer is simple. They chose to serve their country, stand beside their fellow soldiers, and make a difference in the world. With that final thought, Chris proudly declares that they are, and always will be, Jarheads. Jarhead 2 is more than just another military action movie. Beneath the intense firefights and explosive combat, it's a story about loyalty, sacrifice, and doing what's right even when it's not part of the mission. Chris and his team choose to risk everything to save Anush because they realize she represents hope for an entire nation. The movie also shows how trust is earned on the battlefield and how soldiers rely on each other when every decision could mean life or death. If you enjoy war films with non-stop action, strong teamwork, and an emotional message, this movie is definitely worth watching.